The past sort of 8 years working with entrepreneurs and then 6 years before running my own company, I really just see at the basic level, they're problem solvers.
Tim, here we are, the very first episode of the Truly Modern School podcast.
I'm excited because over the next couple of weeks, we've got a little mini-series set up. And there are going to be interviews surrounding a particular theme. And so what we've got for over the next 3 episodes is a Thinking Like an Entrepreneur series. And I'm excited to hear some of the interviews that we've got lined up.
A lot of the documentation that you see involving 21st century skills and transferable skills, they mention entrepreneurship by name. They talk about how key that is to our economy. They talk about how many students will be engaged in owning and running their own business. They also talk about the fact that even if a student never takes that pathway of being an entrepreneur or owning their own business, there's huge transferable skills that have great value to them going forward.
Guys, I think of myself as a teacher, and owning my own business or the success of my own business is a scary thought. And I'm looking forward to hearing from these entrepreneurs about their success and their failures with their product, their ideas. So who do we have lined up?
The first person we've got, he's got lots of things to say. He's got lots of things to say about the value of failure. He's got lots of things to say about transferable skills. His name's Ian Haase, and Ian's the Director of Entrepreneurship at the University of Western Ontario. Ian's also a parent of young kids. Ian works as a mentor for undergrad students at Western, undergrad students at Fanshawe. He's got a really cool, unique perspective I think a lot of folks will like.
All right, let's take a listen.
We're at the Propel Center here at Western, and we're talking with Ian Haase. Ian's the Director of Entrepreneurship at Western. How's it going, Ian?
Good, thanks for having me.
Excellent, thank you. So, Ian, what is Propel, and what role do you play in this center?
Sure, so Propel is the on-campus entrepreneurship center at Western. So it was launched through a provincial government grant called the Campus Linked Accelerator program, which essentially funded every post-secondary institution across Ontario with some form of entrepreneurship program. So on campus for us, it's about a 4,000 square foot co-working space where students can come in, work on ideas, and chat with mentors. And then we also have a ton of programming and events that go along with that, culminating in sort of a formal accelerator program that we are also running for our highest potential entrepreneurs that come in.
Awesome. And you're a former entrepreneur yourself.
I am.
What does it mean in your mind to sort of think like an entrepreneur? What thoughts does that bring to your mind?
Sure. I mean, it's you could go a lot of different ways with that, but I guess over the past sort of 8 years working with entrepreneurs and then 6 years before running my own company, I really just see at the basic level, they're problem solvers. They are people who seek out problems that they're passionate about, that they're capable of solving, and then they have sort of the wherewithal and ambition to surround themselves with the people who can sort of help make that dream a reality.
And I feel like the answer is all around in what you said, but assuming a student never grows to run their own business, they work for someone else for their whole career, how do those skills benefit them?
Absolutely. So I'll start that by even just going through a little bit about the mission of Propel, which is sort of threefold. So there's obviously we want students coming in and being successful entrepreneurs and helping to grow the economy. Obviously small business are sort of the backbone of everyday life. But there's a huge other benefit to just even coming in and exploring solving a problem and trying to work through something that you're passionate about in terms of the experiential learning. So what we find is, 8 out of every 10 students who come in our door may not see their idea through to reality, but they pick up a ton of transferable skills and leadership and other things which really will position them well in the workforce, right? A lot of employers these days are looking for entrepreneurial people. They're looking for young people who can wear a lot of hats and who are comfortable with failure or ambiguity or critical thinking. And so these are all things that we think you can gain while you're trying to start a company.
That 8 out of 10 is a neat stat, and that's one of the things when we chatted before. that I think that you sort of see as that key to everything is building a culture where people are comfortable with that idea of failure. Why is that so critical in your mind?
It's critical because for a number of reasons, but even speaking from personal experience, I had a software company for 6 years, which ultimately sort of failed in most senses of the word. And in hindsight, you look back on those opportunities and you realize you learn a lot more from failure than you do from success. Because when you have success, you don't necessarily get a lot of the same feedback you do as when you fail. So whether it's something big or small, I think it's just really important for people to experience failure and to gain the mental capacity to sort of deal with that, as well as just understand that it's really not the end of the world. And I think more often than not, students and young people are being conditioned that failure is not a good thing. And maybe there's certain aspects in life where that's true, but there's certainly a huge part of life as well where I think that people could start to embrace failing a bit more and learning from it and growing.
And that growing is the key word. As long as I'm growing perpetually, the failure is just one rung on the ladder of that growth.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So you're in a neat spot in terms of your understanding of school. You work here at Propel with all of the great students at Western, and you're also a dad with young children in the school system.
Yeah.
So for you, on sort of any end, any direction you want to take this question, how could school, that big word school, how could school adapt to help 21st century students, the ones here, the ones at home, whatever you see, how could school adapt to serve students better?
Sure, that's a big question, but I'll try and tackle that. I think that, again, it goes back to those sort of transferable skills, right? And rather than thinking about history, geography, science, phys ed, it's to me much more about what sort of experiences can students get to learn that failure is okay, and to learn how you can transfer a skill into another application, and to learn how to just sort of build something from scratch and not have a recipe book. And as well, just going back to sort of learn how to look for problems. I'm a big proponent of being able to be taught a lot of these skills. There's an ongoing debate, are people born entrepreneurs? Can you learn it? And when you actually break it down into sort of the skills and drive you need, so much of it can be taught in school and through learning. And so, just thinking through those critical pieces of design thinking, creative learning, failure, and all those sort of core things that go into being a successful entrepreneur, I think those are things that and it's never too young to try and learn those things. If anything, I feel like students are probably more comfortable with some of those things when they're younger. Just one quick example: we run a bit of a design thinking challenge at schools, as well as here at Propel, which is really fun. It's called the Marshmallow Challenge, and students are given 18 minutes, some sticks of spaghetti, string, and a marshmallow, and they've got to build the tallest structure they can with the marshmallow on top. And we actually find that younger students perform better than older students. It's really interesting, but some of the best performers of that scientifically have looked at are sort of the early grades of elementary school. And it's because they're not, no one's trying to be the CEO. Everyone is working together and sort of planning out, and they also don't spend hours and hours planning out the structure. They just immediately start building it, stick the spaghetti on, and keep making it better and better and better. And so this iterative design is something that I think a lot of kids are born with, and it's almost something that's hammered out of them, if anything, at school right now, as opposed to embraced. Yeah.
That's the challenge. How do you take that passion that a young student has, maintain it even as the challenges come as they grow into school?
Absolutely.
That's awesome. We're in, thank goodness for you, a bit of a quieter time at Propel for the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
You're doing a little bit of planning and a little bit of strategizing. What are you guys excited about moving forward?
We are super excited about the summer program we run. It's a formal accelerator for mostly undergrad students, and then some recent alum who are coming back as well. So we've got 12 startups moving into our space, a really good combination of social enterprise, retail companies, technology companies, And the focus for the summer is sales. So we're targeting companies who are at revenue or close to revenue. And it's just a crazy 16 weeks of helping them pick up the phone, make calls, close deals, and really just, allowing them to get that spark of what I'm working on is actually going to provide a lot of value for a lot of people. And it's amazing what can happen over the summer. We've seen some companies really take off the first 3 years we've been running the program. So that's sort of what we're excited about this summer.
That's awesome. If you ever get a chance to visit Propel, I'm sure they'd love to have you. Ian, how would somebody get in touch with you?
Sure. So the two best ways are just through our website at propel.uwo.ca. There's a contact form on that page as well. If you happen to be at Western, we're in the Western Student Services building on the second floor, which is right next to the University Community Center. And otherwise, just a quick email to entrepreneurship@uwo.ca reaches our whole team.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Ian.
Thanks a lot for having me.
So, Tim, that was Ian Haase. What did you think?
Yeah, it was interesting hearing him speak, where he highlighted the idea of failure and that people can learn more from failure than success, which is a scary thought. But he really highlighted that students are conditioned that failure isn't an option, but he can grow from that.
That's a tricky one. I mean, you see that as students grow musically, as they grow athletically, there's a lot of progress and a lot of challenge on that journey to excellence that all those kids are on.
Sure. And he was also talking about the idea of transferable skills, the experiences, that idea of building something from scratch. And I think back when I was a kid and sitting down and I was making models in my parents' basement, and that idea of building something from the ground up was special, was important, and I really took a lot of pride in that. And I guess having your own business and having your own product, you're going to take pride in it.
The ownership and the pride are huge. We'll see that in the next couple of episodes in this series when we meet an entrepreneur in action and a grade 8 teacher who's building those skills. When that pride and that ownership are there, great things happen.
What did you think of him highlighting the creativity that younger students had? That he found that students in the elementary grades, when it came to building that tallest structure, everyone was working together, that they were testing and improving. And he really highlighted that success that elementary students had.
It's that goal, it's that task focus, it's that awesome sense of community that they build at the elementary level. Lots of great things that everybody who works on school in any level can learn from.
Yeah, we had seen him probably a week prior to that, where he was helping judge pitches that students had. And hearing those 6 students pitch their ideas, and I think some of them were at the undergrad level. I think they were 18, 19 years old. Mm-hmm. He was really praising them for those skills at that young of age.
They had all kinds of great skills. Some of those young entrepreneurs are on a great journey.
Yeah, and I think we're going to hear from a couple of those entrepreneurs coming up.
I know we are.